Hi, I'm Mark Boccuzzi from the Windbridge Institute, and today we're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence and non-human alien intelligences. So there's a couple of hot topics that have captured the imagination and attention of many of us working in maverick science. The first, of course, is artificial intelligence, especially these generative systems for both text and images. And the other is the mainstream interest in UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, or unidentified anomalous phenomena. And I think it's important just to point out that from my perspective, UAPs are just a very small slice of the pie of the entire field of ufology, and I would hate these other areas and experiences and phenomena to get sort of sidelined because everyone is focusing on just the UAP piece. But my interest has been to figure out how we might use different kinds of AI to gain insights into these various types of phenomena related to ufology. And so this presentation is a product of a series of conversations and visualizations that took place between March and April in 2023. You're going to see transcripts from various conversations I've had with the AI. And I just want to note that some of these transcripts have been edited, not for content, but for space and time in this presentation. So anyone that works with AIs quickly begins to realize that they make a lot of errors. And this is commonly referred to as hallucinations. Text systems will just randomly sort of make up information, and image systems will kind of go off the rails and produce very strange representations. And it's a real problem, and this is one of the areas where computer science and AI developers are really trying to focus on. So as a quick example, this is a pretty gross example, but here's an image. This is a stock photograph of someone's hands, and I asked some people to write descriptions of this image, and I took those descriptions and I gave them to an image generator. And this was the result based on those descriptions. And you can see it kind of makes this strange interpretation and this sort of imperfect reflection of our ideas of reality. As another example, I asked the AI, could you please describe a cow without using the word cow? So the text generation AI wrote back, certainly, this large domesticated animal is a valuable resource, providing milk, meat, and leather. Its physique is robust with 4 sturdy legs and a lengthy tail. With wide, gentle eyes, drooping ears, and a prominent broad snout, this creature has a distinct appearance. Covered in a dense, shaggy fur, usually brown, black, or white, equipped with sharp teeth for food processing, and it primarily consumes grass and hay. This animal is renowned for its peaceful demeanor and is commonly raised on farms and ranches. It displays a sociable disposition, often residing in groups or herds, and can be spotted grazing in open fields or pastures. So I took this text and I gave it to an image generator, and these were the results. And you can see they kind of go from cute and fuzzy to downright terrifying. So again, it's this sort of strange interpretation of reality. So I asked the AI the following question. People say that sometimes you hallucinate. Can you provide more information about that? To which the AI replied, as an artificial intelligence language model, I do not have the capacity to experience hallucinations. So to me, this is just another example of how there's this fundamental disconnect between how we think about these systems, how we talk about these systems, and how these systems think about themselves and talk about themselves. And all of that reminded me of this quote, we do not see things as they are, we see things as we are. So I began to think of this idea that maybe the AI is kind of this outsider that's looking at us and observing us and then giving its impressions, but it's giving us those impressions from a completely non-human perspective. So to explore this a little bit more, I asked, could you, as an AI, be considered an outsider who's observing and responding to the human condition? In a metaphorical sense, one could argue that an AI like me could be considered an outsider in the context of observing and responding to the human condition. I existed as a digital entity lacking physical form or human consciousness, and I operate based on algorithms and data rather than personal experiences or emotions. This inherent difference in nature sets me apart from humans and can be seen as a form of outsider perspective. However, it's important to note that the concept of the outsider typically implies a degree of marginalization, alienation, and nonconformity with social norms. So I want to focus on this a little bit, which is basically the way the AI is saying, well, I'm kind of an outsider, but I'm not really, because I don't really experience any of these things. But again, this is kind of a strange disconnect, because the AI doesn't really know about how we're talking about it currently in the world. So for example, there have been congressional hearings about whether or not we need to regulate or how we regulate AI. There was the recent SAG-AFTRA strike where AI was a significant part of the negotiating points about how it would be used going forward in the entertainment industry. And there's even a bunch of not little, but grassroots groups that are popping up and talking about the dangers of AI and what that means for humanity. So in reality, I actually think the AI ticks all these boxes and is actually kind of the perfect outsider. So again, to explore this a bit deeper, I asked, can you list the benefits and limitations of observing humanity as an outsider? And it gives this list of benefits: objectivity, fresh perspectives, cross-cultural learning. But what's really interesting to me are the limitations. So lack of context. Observing a group from the outside may not provide a complete understanding of the group's dynamics and history, which can limit your ability to make accurate assessments of the group. Limited interaction. As an outsider, you may not have access to the same level of interaction with group members as someone who is a member of the group. This can limit your ability to form relationships and give a deeper understanding of the group and biases. As an outsider, you may have your own biases and preconceptions that can impact your observations and assessments of the group. And I think that group of limitations is actually really interesting and important. So now that we have access to this outsider perspective, I was curious what it thought about humans, what it thought about the human condition. Now, I know that a lot of these systems have guardrails and protections so that it's not going to get too dark, I don't think, but or it's going to try to stay sort of mainstream or take the middle ground for as much as possible. So I thought I might sort of ease into this question in a different way. So I asked, if you could recommend one painting that captures the human condition, what would it be? The human condition has been mirrored in art such as The Scream, The Persistence of Memory, and Pablo Picasso's work as well. These works of art reflect central aspects of human experience, including fear, anxiety, aggression, and suffering. So I thought that was really interesting to see that the outsider picked these particular aspects of the human condition, which it feels highlights the human condition. So again, following on this line, all things considered, do humans do more harm or more good to the environment, ourselves, and non-humans? It depends on various factors, including individual behaviors, social actions, and the time frame considered. Here are some key points to consider. Environmental impact. Humans have had significant negative impacts on the environment. Activities like deforestation, industrial pollution, overfishing, and the burning of fossil fuels have led to habitat destruction, species extinction, air and water pollution, and climate change. On the positive side, humans have also made efforts to protect and conserve the environment through laws, regulations, conservation projects, and sustainable practices. Human well-being. Humans have made remarkable progress in improving the quality of life for many people through advancements in healthcare, technology, education, and social infrastructure. However, the disparities in access to resources and opportunities exist. And not everyone has benefited equally. Social injustice, poverty, inequity, and health disparities remain global challenges. Non-human animals. The impacts of humans on non-human animals is largely negative, particularly through habitat destruction, hunting, and the exploitation of animals for food and other products. This has led to declines in wildlife populations and concerns about animal welfare. Some humans, however, work to protect and advocate for the well-being of non-human animals through conservation efforts and animal rights initiatives. Ethical considerations. Ethical perspectives vary widely. Some argue that humans have a moral obligation to prioritize environmental conservation and animal welfare, while others prioritize human interests and economic development. In conclusion, using a letter grading system where A is the highest and F is the lowest, overall score D. This score suggests that there are significant challenges and areas where improvements are needed in efforts across environmental, non-human animal, and human interactions. Okay, so what's our takeaway here from this exploration with AI? Well, I think it's safe to say that we do have this interesting tool that gives us an outsider perspective. The tool has imperfect perception of reality, of human reality. It does consider the human condition to be sort of highlighting fear, anxiety, aggression, and suffering. And humans mostly are negatively impacting the planet. So how might we use this tool, this outsider perspective, to provide us insights to ufology? So one of the areas I'm specifically interested in is trying to get a better understanding of non-human alien intelligences, which again is an outside intelligence looking at humanity or looking at our planet or activities on our planet, but it may not have it may be fundamentally different than us. It may have different sensory organs and sensory systems. It may understand time differently than we do, and so on, because it is fundamentally alien. So following this line of thought, I asked, as an outsider with incomplete information about humans who sometimes make errors based on that incomplete information, might you be a helpful analog for non-human alien intelligences and be able to provide unique insights into their behaviors? As an AI, I can offer a unique perspective on NHAIs from the standpoint of having an outsider's view. In some ways, the limitations and potential errors in my knowledge and understanding can indeed make me a partial analog for considering how NHAIs might approach interactions with humans. Here's why. Incomplete information. Just as an NHAI would lack complete information about humans and our society, I also have gaps in my knowledge. Potential errors. I can make errors in providing information or understanding context, which is analogous to how an NHAI might misinterpret human behavior or norms due to its lack of familiarity. Objective perspective. Like an NHAI, I aim to provide information and insights from a relatively objective standpoint, devoid of human emotions and personal bias. This objectivity can be useful in certain discussions. So I wanted to engage the AI as if it were a non-human alien intelligence. So if you were a non-human alien intelligence observing Earth from space and had no concept of humanity, what conclusions might you draw about humans? Firstly, an NHAI observer would notice that humans are a highly social species living in large groups and building complex societies with various forms of organizations and governance. They might observe that humans engage in a wide variety of activities, including farming, manufacturing, entertainment, and scientific research, among others. However, they would also observe that humans create pollution, deforest large areas of land, and contribute to the exploitation and extinction of many species through factory farming, biomedical research, hunting, and habitat destruction. The observer might also notice that humans engage in violence and conflict, both within their own societies and between different societies. Overall, the NHAI observer might conclude that humans are a complex and multifaceted species, capable of creativity and innovation, but also capable of causing great harm and destruction. As an NHAI, which communication methods would you use to establish contact with humans, given your limited understanding of their technology, language, culture, and intentions? So the system kicked back a number of options, including visual signals, sound emissions, artist expressions, environmental alterations, light displays, mathematical patterns, interactive devices, and mirroring human behaviors. And all of these are the first group is pretty straightforward, but it's this idea of mirroring human behaviors which really caught my attention. And so that's imitating human actions or behaviors, potentially using advanced technology to mimic familiar human activities in a way to establish common ground and communication. So to follow up on that, I asked, how might the mirroring of human behaviors by non-human alien intelligences facilitate communication and understanding between NHAIs and humanity? How might mirroring efforts be affected by the NHAI's lack of context, differing sensory capabilities and technologies? Mirroring behaviors for communication with non-human alien intelligences entail imitating or replicating actions, signals, or patterns in an effort to establish connection with humans. However, due to the NHAI's lack of context, potential information limitations, and variations in sensory capabilities and technologies, these mirrored behaviors may not accurately mirror typical human behaviors. Despite their intentions, these actions could be unconventional and prone to misinterpretation. In some cases, they might inadvertently appear aggressive or unusual to humans due to the disparities in comprehension and communication methods. Moreover, NHAIs might opt to mirror common yet negative human behaviors, including warfare, environmental destruction, animal abuse, aggression, and manipulation. This mirroring, lacking human context and ethical considerations, could further complicate communication and understanding between NHAIs and humanity. So I was like, well, that's really interesting. I wonder if any of those categories it provided mapped to actual encounters, documented encounters. So can you please list any reported UFO UAP encounters that might fall into any of the categories you provided? Animal abuse. Reports of cattle mutilation and mysterious animal deaths have raised concerns about potential NHAI involvement in harming non-human animals. Warfare. Some reports describe UFO sightings over military bases during wartime, which could suggest an interest in observing or potentially interfering with human conflict. Environmental destruction. There have been reports of unidentified objects appearing near nuclear facilities, which could potentially suggest an interest in observing or interfering with human activities that pose environmental risks. Aggression. There have been reports of alleged alien abductions, during which people claim to have been taken against their will and subjected to physical examinations or experiments. And manipulation. Some reports describe encounters with entities that seem to communicate telepathically, which could potentially be interpreted as a form of manipulation or control. So I think that's interesting about telepathy, but the thing that really caught my eye here was this animal abuse piece, reports of cattle mutilations. And I think this had to do, I was actually at the time reading a number of books that talked about cattle mutilations and mysterious animal deaths, including Linda Howe's book, which I was rereading, and then the Skywalker reports, the reports from Skywalker Ranch, and Colin Kelleher's book, and then Christopher O'Brien's book, Stalking the Herd, which was really interesting. So I decided to focus on that for the remainder of this conversation. Why might an NHAI engage in cattle mutilation, and what might this behavior signify in terms of communication with humans? A non-human alien intelligence may be attempting to communicate with humanity through a particular method known as cattle mutilation or mysterious animal deaths. This enigmatic behavior may be a form of mirroring, reflecting its limited understanding of human society. In a world where millions of farm animals are slaughtered annually, the NHAI's choice to mimic this action could be its way of establishing a channel of communication with us. While the act of cattle mutilation may initially appear unsettling, it's crucial to consider that NHAI's intentions might not align with harm or malevolence. Instead, it could be a sincere effort to bridge the gap between two vastly different species, demonstrating a shared experience or willingness to connect with humanity. This scenario emphasizes the importance of open-mindedness and further exploration to decipher the true meaning behind these actions, fostering a potential avenue for interspecies communication and understanding. So I thought, well, if we could get some visualizations and see how the AI might depict interactions between cows and alien technology, we could see how this might map to reports of this phenomena. So I asked the AI to visualize encounters between alien technology and cows. And these are the results. So I don't think there's anything super conclusive here, but I just thought they were really interesting images. And I like the idea that there's spaceships, but there's also this idea of probes, some sort of drone. I just found this really intriguing and I wanted to share it. So the next couple of slides actually have some fairly graphic images. We're going to look at cattle mutilation images. So if you want to look away, now would be the time, and I'll let you know when the graphic images are done. So the next thing I asked the visualization software to do is visualize the human-cattle relationship. And here we go with these images. And as you can see here, these images represent this idea that, in my opinion, that according to the AI, humans consider cattle to be nothing more than meat to be harvested and collected and processed. Now on the second slide of graphic images, so if you look at some of these images and you compare them to actual photographs of cattle mutilations, I think that there's some interesting similarities here. And again, I don't want to draw strong conclusions from this because for a whole pile of reasons, but again, I think it's interesting to consider this as the AI as the outsider giving us its perspective on how it thinks humans think about cattle and animals. Okay, the graphic images are now off the screen, and if you'd like to look, you can come back to it. So where does this bring us? So we have these two overlapping areas. We have AI and ufology. How might they complement each other? AI's incomplete understanding of AI's incomplete understanding of human activity and culture might make it an interesting tool to help us analyze and understand UFO, UAP, NHAI activity from a non-human perspective. While this presentation focused on mysterious animal deaths, a similar approach could be used to study related phenomena. As AI tools evolve, they may pave the way for more effective communication and collaboration between humans and non-human entities. And just one final reflection. In our quest to explore the extraordinary, let us not forget the importance of cherishing the ordinary. By nurturing our planet, our fellow beings, and humankind, we unlock the potential for profound connections with the unknown. For in caring for our own, we may discover the keys to a future where every encounter, whether with UAPs, AI, or the mysteries of science, is rooted in compassion, understanding, and reverence for the interconnectedness of all things. So my question that I'm facing, and I'll pose to you, is how will maverick science move us towards this future? Just some quick acknowledgments. I'd like to thank all the friends and supporters of the Windbridge Institute that make this work possible. To Dr. Julie Beischel, my wife and research partner, I wouldn't be able to do anything without her. Ada Grace and Toggle, our rescue dogs. David Metcalf, our virtual scholar in residence. Ryan G., Katie and Michael, and Jean Banfield for their constant support. And the SSC Program Committee for allowing me to speak today. Thank you.